Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf, Nazir Lamed Zayin. We are holding on the fifth line from the top of the Amud. We're going to pick up exactly where we left off yesterday. We discussed the sugya of Heter Mitzaref Le'Isr. So Rav Dimi presented in the name of Rabbi Yehuda. So for instance, when it comes to the Isser of Nazir, if you mix them up, if you take some grapes which are Asr and you mix it with other solids, other foods which are not Asr, and together you have a shir kazayis, it's Asr, and the Nazir will get Malkus. That's a Chiddush. You don't even have enough grapes there to create a kazayis of Isser, but you can combine it together with the Heter because you're eating it together. It's one experience, one Ma'asa Achila, and according to Tosfos, actually they're actually mixed together. In any case, Heter is Mitzaref Le'Isser. It is as though you have a kazayis of Isser. And this, of course, is learned from a pasuk. V'chol mishras anavim. Oh, the soaking of grapes is also. What's the pasuk adding? We already know grapes are also for the Nazir. So we're learning from here a chiddush. We're learning that even heter is mitzaref le'isr. Only Abaye. Abaye turns to Rav Dimi. How do you know? Mimai dahai mishras. How do we know that the word mishras leheter mitzaref le'isr de'asa is coming to present us with this chiddush that even a combined isser and heter is considered asr. That's a great chiddush, that you can take permissible material and consider it asr just because it's being eaten together with the isser. Who says? Dilma litein tam ki ikaru de'asa. Perhaps mishras, the extra expression, extra word in the pasuk, sure, is teaching us something, but perhaps a lesser chiddush. What's a lesser chiddush? And even tam of an isser, even flavoring of an isser is asr. For example, you have grapes which were soaked in water. He took out the grapes. You're not eating the grapes, but it left behind a flavor. That tam coming from isser is also asr. Maybe that's all the pasuk is telling you. Asks the Gemara, 1 second. You may recall that yesterday Abaye was actually asking the other way around. He had many rayos that were not meant to limit heter mitzaref l'isser to just Nazir. We find it by Truma, we find it elsewhere. That was Abaye's sort of direction. And now he seems to be asking the other way around. Don't even initiate, don't even present this idea of heter mitzaref l'isser altogether. What happened to all those rayos which he brought yesterday? Asks the Gemara, Ula Abaye. Now let's try to understand Abaye's direction here. Meikara initially yesterday, Kakashile. Maidakam Rav Dimi. He had a problem, he had a kasha with Rav Dimi limiting this idea of heter mitzaref l'isser only to Nazir. And he asked all those kashas, which indicated that heter mitzaref l'isser is applicable all over. It's a universal halacha regarding other isurim as well. And now the hadar, he comes around Amalei, and he's asking that no, liten tam ki ikar. And actually, there is no pasuk for heter mitzaref l'isser. It's just for tam ki ikar. What happened suddenly? The answer is basar deshanilei. After Rav Dimi answered him all his kashas yesterday, so Abaye sort of agreed to him, and he says, you know what? Perhaps there is no concept of heter mitzaref l'isser altogether. Perhaps mishras is coming to teach us tam kikar, that flavor, that taste, is tantamount to the actual isser itself. Even though it's not really so tangible, it's just a tam. We treat it as the ikar isser. Litin tam ki ikar da'asa. So how would you even know altogether about heter mitzaref l'isser, even by Nazir? Look at this, Anya. In fact, we do find this in a brisa. That what? That the word mishras by Nazir is not coming for heter mitzaref le'isur, rather for tam ke'ikar. Look at this, Anya. Mishras, right? The word mishras by Nazir is teaching us litain tam ke'ikar, to treat the tam like the ikar. For instance, shem shara anavim b'mayim. There were grapes soaked in water, and he pulled out the grapes. He didn't eat the grapes. He drank the water. V'yesh ben tam yaim. In that water we have grape flavor, residue from those grapes. Chayav. He is chayav because we treat flavor like ikar. It is as though he drank wine, as though he ate those grapes. Umikan atadan l'chalisurin shebetorah. And in fact, this precedent, this idea that we find by Nazir, which idea? That tam is ki'ikar, is now meant to be applied universally to all the isurim in the Torah. How do we do that? How could we compare to Nazir? By way of a kavachemer. Uma Nazir she'eni isura Yisrael. Look, even Nazir, even by Nazir, which isn't such a severe isur, it's not la'ilam, it's not a lifetime isur. After 30 days, he's back to wine. Number one. Number two, no, even when there is an isur, it's not a total isur. There's no isur to enjoy, to benefit from these materials. You can't eat and drink the materials, but you can have anah from it. That's another sort of deficiency in the isur. Number three, v'yesh heter li'surei. Even while the Nazir is forbidden from these foods, he can undo the isur by removing the naziris, by doing ataras nadarim. So despite the fact that there were three deficiencies, three weaknesses, so to speak, in the isur nazir, what do we say? Asar by tam ki'ikar. Still, the Torah tells us by way of the word mishras, tam is considered like ikar. Certainly other isurim, like for instance kalaya kerem. He mixed, wheat and vines and grew them together. That's totally asr. It has an even stronger isur than the isuri nazir. She isurin isur olam. It's a forever isur. Isurin isur no, you can't even have residual benefit from those plants. Finally, vein ha'hetali isurin. There's no way to get out the isur. So it's actually superior to isur nazir. Of course, it should have the same isur of nazir. Doesn't it lend to think sheyasabay tam ki'ikar, that any type of tam of kalaya kerem is treated like the ikar and is asr as well. Vu'adin, and the same thing would apply la'arla. We also would like to apply tam ki'ikar to arla because it has at least two similarities. Two chumrais of kalaya kerem. Number one, just like kalaya kerem is asr bahana, likewise arla is. And number two, while it's asr, there's no way out. There's no exit hatch. Now the third thing doesn't apply to arla. It's not isur olam because it only lasts 3 years. But it has two chumrais, and it lends to reason that the chumrah of tam ki'ikar would apply there as well. So clearly we have a brisa which in fact applies mishras stated by Nazir for tam ki'ikar rather than Rav Dimi's approach of heter mitzaref le'isur. So it's really a kasha. How does Rav Dimi know otherwise? How do we even know about tam heter mitzaref le'isur? Perhaps this pasuk is for tam ki'ikar. Amalei Omer Rabbanon. So there's certain, Chacham turned to Abaye to answer the kasha. Rabbi Avo, who quotes Rabbi Yehuda, that Mishras teaches us heter mitzaref le'isur. Kika Amar. What he said was that Rabbi Akiva, in accordance with Shittas Rabbi Akiva, who in fact applies Mishras for this purpose. And this price, which applies Mishras for tam ki'ikar, that's Shittas Rabbanon. They in fact hold that there truly is no concept of heter mitzaref le'isur by Nazir. It only applies to kachim like chatas, we're going to see later. So there are two separate shittas here. Rav Dimi was following Rabbi Akiva, who holds of heter mitzaref l'isser by Nazir. Hi Rabbi Akiva, which Rabbi Akiva are you talking about? Ilim Rabbi Akiva dacha. Is it the following Rabbi Akiva? This non in the following Mishnah, Rabbi Akiva Omer, afilu sharapita b'yayin. Even if the Nazir dipped his bread into wine, and there's enough there for a kazayis, chayev. Clearly, we apply the idea of heter mitzaref l'isser. Says the Gemara, how do you know he's actually using the bread material and combining it with the wine to get the kazayis? Umay, how do you know that's the case? Dilma hu de'ika kazayis be'ena. Perhaps there is actually a kazayis of wine there. And the reason why Rabbi Akiva calls it a tziruf k'dei l'tzarav kazayis, that's because it's not actually a glass of wine. It's permeated. It's absorbed into the bread. That's why he calls it l'tzarav, because you have to sort of ring it back, gather it back together. Theoretically, conceptually, you have to sort of see it together. But forget about heter mitzaref l'isser. There's isser there. There's kazayis of wine. Well, if there's enough of wine, enough wine for kazayis, then why even discuss it? What's the chiddush? Tanakama is coming to disagree with the Tanakama, who gives a different shir. The Amar Shish, the revius yain, needs to be a revius more than a kazayis of wine. So that's all he's trying to make. The point he's trying to make is that kazayis is enough. We're not speaking about heter mitzaref l'isser. You have no raya to that chiddush. Ella, rather, Rabbi Akiva the Bryce. We find Rabbi Akiva in a Bryce. The son of Rabbi Akiva, Nazir sheshara pita b'yayin. A Nazir soaked his bread and wine. V'achal kazayis mipas u'meyayin. Clear. That we're combining the two. Chayev, that creates chayev. Okay, so that's the answer to our question. Rabbi Yehuda quotes Rabbi Yehuda that Mishras teaches us heter mitzaref l'isser as shittas Rabbi Akiva, who in fact holds that we can combine heter l'isser to create a isser kazayis by Nazir. Rabbanan disagree. In fact, according to them, Mishras is coming to teach us something entirely different. Tam, flavoring, taste, isser residue is tantamount to the isser itself. But of course, you need a shear. You can't just combine heter to the isser to create a kazayis. Amalei Ravacha, brother of Ravashi. So Ravacha asks Ravashi as follows. I have a question on Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva the Kamaykim Lei. Lahai v'chal mishras. According to Rabbi Akiva, who applies the pasuk of v'chal mishras. For what? Lahetem nestarf l'isser, right? So how does he know the other halacha? Litain tam ki'ikar minali. How does he know about tam ki'ikar? Right? Heter and isser together, okay, it's mitzdaref, because you have the isser intact. So the heter is sort of, subordinate to the isser, it completes it, it combines with it, okay. But suppose you don't have the actual isser, you only have a tam, a residue, a taste, a flavor. Who's to say we treat it like isser? Litain tam ki'ikar minali. How does he know about tam ki'ikar? Answer, yolif mi basar v'chalav. He will learn it from the idea of basar v'chalav. What is the isser of basar v'chalav? We have, tam of milk mixed into a meat, or the tam of the meat mixed into the milk. Lav tam ba'amu, isn't it just tam? V'asr, and it is considered asr. Hachanami here as well. Throughout the Torah, lo yishna, it's no different. A tam is like isr. Okay, so that's his source for tam ki'ikar. Basar v'chalav. So again, according to Rabbi Akiva, we have to keep track as we go along. So according to Rabbi Akiva, Mishras, which is the pasuk by Nazir, teaches us heter mitzaref l'isser by Yisuri Nazir, and basar v'chalav, which involves flavors, teaches us tam ki'ikar. Now the Rabbanan didn't source their din of tam ke'ikr from basar b'chalav. They needed the pasuk of Mishras for that. Rabbanan basar b'chalav lo gamrina. Why didn't they learn from basar b'chalav? What's wrong with that as a source? The chidushu, it's something unique, it's an anomaly, it's something out of the ordinary, and you can't compare anything to it. You find something so unusual there. My chidushi, in which way is it a chidush? Is it because, suppose you have meat on its own, it's mutter. Milk on its own is mutter. So each one of these two ingredients independently are totally fine. And still what happens when they mix together? A lethal combination. It's only when you mix them together it's us. That's something so out of the ordinary. Each one is totally mutter, but the mix is the problem. So you can't really learn from there. It's something unusual. It has its own guidelines. And you cannot use that as a source. Says the Gemara. Well, how unusual is it? We find it elsewhere. For instance, kilayim. Right? The mix of plants. Kilayim nami. Shari. Each one on its own, it's fine. You plant vines, they're great. Plant wheat, perfect. It's only when you combine the two, you have that problem. So, who says basar b'chalav is such a great chiddush if it's found elsewhere? Ella, rather, the chiddush of basar b'chalav is as follows. What's unique about it? It's like this. If you take meat, soak it for an entire day in milk, shari, totally mutter. Only cooking together is really asr, if you cook it together, suddenly asr. That's the uniqueness. Plain mixing, soaking, that's fine. Cooking it suddenly generates an isser, that's something unusual. It's a chiddush, and therefore the halach of tam ki'ikar cannot be learned from basar b'chalav. Okay, so now we understand why the Chachamim needed mishras for tam ki'ikar. But what about Rabbi Akiva? He used mishras for hetem starfel isser. How does he know tam ki'ikar? We figured from basar b'chalav. Well, you can't learn from basar b'chalav. It's a chiddush. Rabbi Akiva now basar b'chalav chiddushu. How could Rabbi Akiva learn from basar b'chalav? It's a chiddush. You're right. We found another source for the halach of tam ki'ikar according to Rabbi Akiva. Elo yolaf migi'uli avid gichav. We learn from the fact that the Torah doesn't allow us to use non-Jewish pots which contain isser flavoring embedded within the walls of the kli. Gil literally means rejection. I mean, the flavors and things that come out of the non-Jewish pot. It's asr for us. Damarach, one of the pasuk says, "Kol davar asher yava be'esh," any utensil which is used to cook with over the fire, has to be thoroughly cleansed. You have to burn it out, etc. L'meimra de asirei. Apparently, the flavor embedded in that pot is asr until you do the hagala, etc. To remove that embedded flavor. So we're going to learn from there. This flavor of the isser lav tamabamu isn't just strictly flavor, taste, vasser. And you see, it's a problem. Likewise, throughout the Torah, tam is like ikar. So that is Rabbi Akiva's source. Now, let's go back to the Rabbanan. Why couldn't they learn from here? Well, the Rabbanan nami typically migulev gichav. Why couldn't they learn from this parsha? Amar Leser Rav Ashi responded to Rav Acha. You know why they couldn't learn from there? Hasam chiddushuk. Once again, the sugya of giuli of gichav is something unusual. What's unusual about it? Because throughout the entire Torah, we know for a fact that the only tam isser is asr is if it's a positive flavor, if it benefits the mix, which it fell into, if it contributes positively, as opposed to a spoiled flavor, an old flavor. That's what we know. Past bas yoyme, ben yoyme is mutter, because it's already stale. It's called noisen tam lefgam. The flavor actually acts to the detriment of the food that it falls into. So throughout the entire Torah, we know that nois and tam l'pgam is mutter. When the tam is going to actually be paigim, going to ruin the mix, it's fine, it's mutter. And still by the giuli of the kechavim, we don't work with that system. V'gabe giuli of the kechavim aser. Look, the Torah says all the pots that they got from Midian, you have to cleanse them. We're talking weeks later. The flavor has long gone stale. So that's something unique. It's a new parsha, a new chiddush, and you can't learn from there. And therefore, they had to learn Tam Kikar from Nazir, from Mishras. Well, back to Rabbi Kiva now. Rabbi Kiva nami a chiddush. How can Rabbi Kiva learn from Giuli of Gechav? It's a chiddush. Amar Rav Huna bar Chia, you're right. The Isser only applies to 1 day old pots. Lo yasra Torah, elo k'deir bas yom, when the Torah necessitates Hagala, it was strictly referring to fresh kalim which were used on that day. The lav neis tam of gamu, in which case the flavor coming out of the walls are not neis tam of gam, they're fresh, tasty flavors. And therefore it's not a chiddush. You can learn from there that tam ki'ikar. V'rabbanon, what about the Rabbanon who refused to learn from Giuli of the Gechavim? Because it's a chiddush. Why is it a chiddush? If it's fresh flavors, still it's a chiddush. Look, even Kedera Bas Yom, even a pot used on that day, Nami, even that, it's impossible that the flavor embedded in its walls, the flavor of a food flavor embedded in a kli, in a wooden kli, it's impossible. That's not affected somewhat. It hasn't gone somewhat ori, in which case, the fact that the Torah necessitates Hagala indicates chidush. It's something unique. The fact that we're so concerned about a flavor which isn't really a proper flavor is something unique, something of a chidush, and you cannot learn from there. That's something unique. It's a one-time chidush. So bottom line is, according to Rabbanon, Geulei of the Gechavim will not provide the source for Tam Ki'ikar, rather it's Mishras from Nazir. Tam Ki'ikar applies not only to Nazir, it's universal halacha, applicable to all Isurim. On the other hand, Rabbi Kiva says, look, Geulei of the Gechavim does provide adequate source for Tam Ki'ikar. We're speaking within a day, it's not Tam Pogam. Rabbi Kiva does not reckon with this a slight pagam that the Rabbanan seem to be concerned about. So it's a regular flavor, it's not a chiddush, it's tam ki'ikar, and then we take that and spread it around the whole Torah. The word mishras by Nazir is for heter mitzdaref le'isr, which is unique to Nazir. Asks the Gemara 1 second. When it comes to the Rabbanan who learn mishras for tam ki'ikar, we say, oh, now apply it to every Isser in the Torah. Don't limit it to Nazir. Apply it evenly throughout the Torah. Now when it comes to Rabbi Kiva, who applies Mishras by Nazir for Heter Mitzdaref L'Isser, you limit it to Nazir. Why? Amli Rav Ach, Breder Rav Avi, Rav Ashi, Mid Rabbanon. The same thing that the Rabbanon do with Mishras. It's for Tam Ki'ikar, and it goes to anything in the Torah. Nishma Rabbi Kiva. Why can't we do the same with Rabbi Kiva? Lav Amir Rabbana. Didn't the Rabbana tell us Hai Mishras? The word Mishras by Nazir is for what? Litin Tam Ki'ikar. And then we take it and we apply it evenly throughout the entire Torah. Umikan atadan l'chol surah shebetorah. So Tam Ki'ikar is universal. Learned from Nazir. Rabbi Kiva Nami. The same to Rabbi Kiva. The Kamukim Leila Hai Mishras. Who applies the word Mishras lehetem restaref le'isser? Okay, but why stop by Nazir? Leima, we shall say, Mikanata dan l'cholisuna shebetorah. Let's apply the idea of hetem starf listen to any Yisr in the Torah. Why do we limit it to Nazir? Amalei. Rav Ashi responds. There's a third ingredient, chatas. Mishum dahavi Nazir chatas. Beis kesuvin haboin ke'echad. Whenever we find that the Torah repeats an item twice, the Torah duplicates a halacha, what does that teach us? What is that telling us? What message is that sending? I want it to be here and nothing else. Otherwise, the Torah would just say it once, and then we would just apply it everywhere. The fact that the Torah troubles itself to repeat it once and again indicates to us, stop right here, leave it here. Heter mitzdaref le'isser is found in two places in the Torah. Number one, Nazir, as we just said, and by chatas as well. If chatas gets mixed into something else, heter mitzdaref le'isser. It's shtei ksuv and habon ke'echad, two psukim which are on the same track, teaching the same halacha. Chol beis ksuv and habon ke'echad, when we have a duplicate in the Torah, ein malamin, you can't extend that concept elsewhere. You can't apply it to other places. What are these two places? Nazir, right? Hadabar, as we just mentioned. Mishras, right? Chatas, Mahi. Where do we find heter, mitzdaref l'isser by chatas? The Sanya, we have a brayse, kol asher yiga b'bsar yigdash, anything that makes contact with the basar of chatas becomes kaddish. Yochel afilu shloi bala, perhaps just making contact, affected, without actually absorbing the flavor of the chatas meat. Hamulem b'bsara needs to be absorbed in its basar. Achi yibala b'bsara, so you have a piece of meat which is absorbing from the chatas meat, it gets affected by the chatas. And the pasuk continues, yigdash. It assumes the same status as the chatas. Liyos k'moya becomes the same. Shem psulahi, yipasal. If the original chatas meat was pasal, it was pigel, whatever, then the item which absorbed from it becomes pasal as well. Vim kshera, if the chatas meat was fine and edible to the kohen, tiyachal k'chamesh shabar. So now when the other meat absorbed from it, it assumes the same status and needs to be eaten by a kohen, etc. And as Tosfos points out, apparently we're speaking about heter being mitzdaref to the issa, because if it's just a question of the flavor being usher, well, we know that from Gilui of the Kechavim, we don't need another pasuk for that. Apparently the pasuk here is teaching us a new idea, that the permissible meat combines with the chatas flavor within it to create that shir kazayis, heter mitzdaref l'isser. So bottom line is, we have two sources for this halacha of heter mitzdaref l'isser. According to Rabbi Akiva, we have mishras by Nazir, we have the pasuk of chatas, shnei ksuvim abon ke'echad ein malamdin, and therefore we limit the idea of heter mitzdaref l'isser to these two places. Now, v'rabbanon. Let's go back to the Rabbanon. We're going to be going back and forth. V'rabbanon, who did not introduce us to heter mitzdaref l'isser. According to them, we don't know about that. It's just tam ki'ikr, and that's learned from mishras. The question is, why not? What about the pasuk of chatas? Why can't we learn from there that heter mitzdaref l'isser? Says the Gemara. No, according to the Chachamim, rather than learning heter mitzdaref l'isser from chatas, we apply the pasuk of chatas once again to tam ki'ikr, which is a lesser chiddush. But Rabbanan tzricha both psukim, Nazir, which teaches us tam ki'ikr, and chatas, which going to Rabbanan teaches us the same halacha, tzricha, they both need it. There's nothing extra here. Because Rachmana gabe chatas. Who are the pasuk? Only to have told us this idea of tam ki'ikr by the chatas. Havamina, I would think it's limited to chatas. Nazir le'asir. You can't learn this idea over to Nazir. Mishum the Nazir mikachim le'afinan. You can't learn a non-kachim item from kachim. Everybody understands that karbonos are on a higher level, and therefore the Torah had to write the word mishras by Nazir to tell us tam ki'ikr. Because Rachmana gabe Nazir, if the Torah would have only written mishras by Nazir to teach us tam ki'ikr, Havamina, I would say, well, it's limited to Nazir. You can't bring it over to chatas. Havamina min Nazir le'afinan. You could not learn this idea to chatas from Nazir. You know why? Nazir is unique. Mishum the Chamri Isuri. The Isra of Nazir is so special, so stringent, that I feel a chartzen asr, even a pit is asr, even though it's not really edible. Pit or skin, whatever it means, we had in the Mishnah. So it's a chiddush, even if it's not derech achila. Hilkach le'asir minei. So we can't just go learn from Nazir over to chatas, and therefore we need the pasuk to say it twice, once by Nazir because Nazir can't learn from Chatas, which is Kachim. Once by Chatas, because it cannot learn from Nazir, which has a Chumrah. It has to say it twice. And now we take that by way of a Tzad Hashava type of formula. We say, look, we find it here, we find it there. Apparently it's a universal halacha, and we say Tam Ki'ikar throughout the entire Torah. So bottom line is, according to the Chachamim, we never find Hetem Estaref L'Isser. We find a pasuk by Nazir, Mishras. We find a pasuk by Chatas. Giuli Avdi Kechavim, that's not a source, that's a Chiddush. And you can't learn from there. The pasuk by Nazir and the pasuk by Chatas are both teaching us Tam Ki'ikar. And they're both needed. But we have no pasuk for Hetem Estaref L'Isser, at least at this point in the Gemara, at this stage. Now let's go back to Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Kiva was the one who said, yes, Hetem Estaref L'Isser. We find it mentioned twice. Mishras by Nazir, and also the pasuk by Chatas. They're both teaching us the same identical halacha, Hetem Estaref L'Isser, but you can't apply that elsewhere because, as we said, when the Torah duplicates something, it's Shnei Ksuvim Habam Ke'echad. The point is, keep it here, don't spread it around. Why else would the pasuk say the same thing twice? It's just a duplicate. You don't really have to say it twice. Rabbi Kiva tells you, why do you need the Nazir and the Chatas? Once you say one, you don't need the other one. Sure, if the pasuk would just state the halacha of Hetem Estaref L'Isser by Chatas, true, you can't learn Nazir, which is not a carbon, from Chatas, which is a carbon. The Chulin Mikachin Legamrina, we can't learn Nazir, which is Chulin from Kachim. It has a higher standard. So that way, it wouldn't work that way. But I have another idea. The pasuk could have just said Mishras by Nazir, Hetem Estaref L'Isser, that's it. But Teisi, Chatas Menei, we can learn the concept over to Chatas from Nazir. If it works by Nazir, of course by Kachim. And apparently Rabbi Kiva is not concerned with the fact that Nazir has the Chumrah of the Chartzan, which was the Rabbanan's argument. No. You can easily spread the halacha from Nazir to Chatas. The Hakali Surah Shabbat Kagamri Mi Nazir. We find elsewhere, the Gemara Chulin that learns many halachas of Isurim. Throughout the entire Torah, we learn the halacha of Bittul B'Shishim, etc., from Nazir. Apparently, there's nothing holding us back from learning things from Nazir. So Chatas can learn from Nazir, and the fact that Torah troubles itself to repeat once by Nazir, once by Chatas, it tells you that Hetem Estaref L'Isser is unique to these two cases. And how do we know Tam Ki'ikar? That we mentioned before, that Rabbi Kiva learns from Giuli Avdi Kechavim, from those pots. V'Rabbanan. And now Rabbanan respond as follows. No. Amrilach, they tell you. Granted, okay, let's assume you're right, Rabbi Kiva. You can learn, theoretically you can learn Chatas from Nazir. So now we have a question, why did the Torah have to say it twice? You're right. So now the Gemara makes a slight switch. You know what? Even the Rabbanan will agree that in some instances we say Hetem Estaref L'Isser. That's news. Until now, Rabbanan never agreed to this idea of Hetem Estaref L'Isser. Now the Gemara is going to introduce us to a new idea. Rabbanan Amrilach. You know why we have the pasuk by Chatas of Kol Asher Yiga B'Bsar Yigdash? Chatas, you're right, Leheter Mitzdaref L'Isser. That's going to tell us that when it comes to Chatas and likewise other Karbanos, yes, you're right. If we don't have enough shear of the Isser, we can combine the Heter to the Isser, we have a total shear. But that's unique to Kachim. You can't learn Chulin from Kachim. Mishras. Now what about the pasuk of Mishras by Nazir? Litain Tam Ki'ikar. That is to teach us the idea that Tam is like Ikar. So now you only have one pasuk for Tam Ki'ikar, which allows us to spread it around. Mikan atadon l'chol isurin shebetorah. And this pasuk of Mishras by Nazir, which tells us Tam Ke'ikar, is in fact going to provide a source for all the Yisurim Shabbat Torah. The Tam Ke'ikar applies everywhere in the Torah. Rabbi Kiva. Now Rabbi Kiva, who used Mishras for Hetem Estarf L'Isur, and did not want to apply that to the entire Torah. Why? Why can't you learn other Yisurim from Nazir? I thought we do that all over. But the B'Shisha, everything is learned from Nazir. So according to Rabbanon, the Nazir is teaching us Tam Ke'ikar. You're right. Every Yisur has Tam Ke'ikar because of Nazir. But according to Rabbi Kiva, the Mishras is coming to tell you Hetem Estarf L'Isur, and that's limited to Nazir. Why? Apply that to all these Surim. Let's go back to that step. Rabbi Kiva, Taravayu, Hetem Estarf L'Isur, we have twice. Hetem Estarf L'Isur mentioned in the Torah, once by Nazir, once by Chatas. And there's no need, there's really, we don't understand why the Torah had to repeat it. Because we could have learned Chatas from Nazir. That takes us back to that duplicate concept. When something is mentioned twice, unnecessarily, it limits it. You can't learn and extend and expand it to other places. So bottom line like this. Let's recap the whole sugya. We have a pasuk by Nazir, Mishras. We have the pasuk by the non-Jewish pots, Giuli of the Kechav. We have a pasuk by Chatos, Kol Asher Yigab B'Psar Yigdash. So according to the Maskana of the Gemara, the Rabbanan will learn these psukim as follows. From Chatos we learn Heter Mitzdarf L'Isur, but that's unique to Kachim. That's it. End of story. You cannot learn from Gili of the Kechavim that there is Tam Ke'ikar. It's a Chiddush. It's really a Tam Pogam. It's affected by the walls of the Kli. Why is it Asr? It's a Chiddush. You can't learn from there. Rather, where do we know Tam Ke'ikar from? Mishras. And that will provide a source for all Isurim in the Torah. Tam is Ke'ikar. That's the Rabbanon. According to Rabbi Kiva, Tam Ke'ikar, well, that's learned from Gili of the Kechavim. There's no Chiddush there. We're speaking about one-day-old pot. It's Tam L'Shvach, Tam Ke'ikar. And it provides a source for all Yisurim Shabbat Torah. The pasuk of Mishras by Nazir, the pasuk by Chatos, are both telling us the same thing. Heter Mitzdarf L'Isur. But you can't apply that to other Yisurim, because if so, why the repetition? Shnei Ksuvim Ban Ke'echad. And therefore we leave it only to Nazir and to Chatas. All the best to you, Hatzlacha Rabba, and B'Siras Taiva.